Okay, what is this colorful looking gadget? It's a smoke pencil. It's designed for HVAC use, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. It's a glycol smoke that basically, if you press the trigger, it produces billowing smoke. And I'll just insert a picture of the slow motion effect of the smoke, and it comes out with a very, very low momentum, and it's basically stirred around by the air. And of course, it allows you to trace the flow of air. Now, even though this is meant for the HVAC world, it actually finds a lot of use in electronics design, thermal design, where you need to see whether or not your fan's cooling an assembly correctly and the air is flowing in the right direction. Let's just take a look at a typical power supply and how the smoke flows around. Okay, here's the cover removed on a lab power supply. This was the GQ Electronics A305D that I tore down quite some time ago. It shows a really good example of really poor thermal design. You put the smoke onto the assembly, and the first thing, of course, you might think is the smoke's just billowing backwards, and of course it is. The fan's going what I would consider probably the wrong way. It's actually sucking air through the assembly. But now if you put the fan on this side here, you can see the very erratic smoke flow around the assembly. And it's a bit of a problem because the main power transistor is sitting on this piece of metal, and of course that's what needs to be cooled very, very well. You can sort of see it just has a very porous airflow pattern. Okay, this is a light bulb. It's called the Cree 4-Flow, and it uses convective cooling. There's no heat sink in this particular bulb. It's just two circuit boards, and there's an air intake here and an air outlet there. Or I guess if you have the bulb upside down, the heat flow would change. And you can actually prove that this actually works by letting the bulb warm up and using a smoke pencil like this to spritz some smoke onto the bulb. Let me just insert some slow motion pictures. You can sort of see the chimney effect clearly happening at the top of the bulb, where the velocity of the air seems clearly faster than the surrounding air, sort of proving the concept the bulb has. So I believe it's a glycol-based system, sort of what you find in a theatrical fogging unit, or maybe a unit you would buy for Halloween. Comes with a little bottle of fluid, and the fluid sits in a little reservoir in the middle here, and there's obviously some batteries below, and it's a little tiny electronic circuit board and two triggers. One trigger just pumps the glycol up into a very narrow tube, and the other one turns on essentially a heating element, looks like, and then an LED comes on as well, so you can get a better sense as to where the particles are flowing to. So a very simple arrangement, but very effective, and gives you lots and lots of volume of smoke. Okay, so this particular model is called the Wizard Stick. It actually comes from Amazon. Let me just pull up the listing sheet on it. It's actually listed under scientific toys, but it's actually far from a toy. It actually has some very practical applications in some real engineering. So a very useful device to have in the lab if you're trying to practically trace heat flow in an assembly.